and get started call to order. Got our three here. So approval of last month's minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Jennifer, I need a second.
Second. There's only three of us, Jennifer.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone not in favor? Okay, moving on. So this week we have the 600 series educational programs. Deputy Ramey, or Deputy Superintendent Ramey, can you take us away?
Sure.
Or?
Either is fine, of course. Good evening. Nice to be with you all to talk about the 600s. There are a number of changes. Some are just reflections of things we need to do based on bills that were passed in the last session. A couple were just updates. But then there were some that were a little bit more substantive that we want to talk through a little bit. But if we just start at the top, 602.3 curriculum evaluation. We just eliminated a first bullet there, and that was because of the use of the word equity. And the state's changed the law last year to be compliant. That has to come out of one of the pieces that so not a change that we're necessarily in favor of, but one that we have to do to stay compliant. 603.1, we just corrected the grade levels as we have changed our building configurations for the curriculum instruction for our students. Sorry, I'm going to get where I am on this. 603.4, just again, language update just for flow and then to better articulate characteristics that are protected under our multicultural gender fair education policy.
Can we take a beat at 603.4 for a second?
Sure.
Super ticky-tack, but I think that we need to delete the comma after discrimination. Like the redlining leaves that comma in, but I think with that, the way the sentence reads, we don't need it to be comma there.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just
Okay.
run that deletion.
Motion to delete the comma in 603.4.
Listen, Mitch, this is why you have an attorney. on
There you go.
And Sean's not here, and Sean used to be the comma
Yeah,
police.
yeah.
He's not here,
Do we
so
need a-
I am trying to fulfill this role.
Carrying.
Do we need a motion for that, or can we just?
No.
Just
No.
double check?
Just a first reading. So
Got it.
we can make those changes. All right, 603.5, health education. Again, this comes directly from Senate file last year, 175, and so not necessarily language that we would have brought voluntarily, but language that we need to have added per ISBA and the passage of the state law in this area. All right. Down to internet appropriate use, 605.6. So it looks like there's a little bit, a lot of change here, but really most of it's just for clarity and then some redundancy. So in the middle of what would that be? Fifth paragraph down where we cross out a sentence in the middle. It's not to change our approach or what the expectations are. It's just a matter of we felt it was redundant, and so just providing some clarity language there in what we're doing. Also, there's some overplay between 605.6, 605.6R1, the regulation, and some of the things we're going to see next month in the 700s, specifically 713. And so again, there's an opportunity to come back to some of this language and also the 700s as well, which is why the regulation is being eliminated because of the changes that we're proposing next month in the 700s that we believe better align with what our approach is to this.
Which number are you which number should I be looking at?
It'll be 713.
Okay, oh, so it's not on this.
Right.
Okay.
But there's going to be some additions and some changes to that Director McNeil.
Okay.
So even if you look at the current one, it won't reflect what we'd be proposing. So that's one of the reasons that the regulation for the 600s is being recommended for removal.
That's and we're still talking about internet appropriate use regulation.
Yes.
The really long one.
Correct.
Got it.
605.7 and 605.7 are one. Just some title changes in terms of what we're calling these regulations. So the copyrighted regulations. That is, oh, and then one thing we changed. So that came from our recommendation from our data government consultant as they looked at this and really what the purpose of this was. And so moving it from use of information resources to copyrighted information, that better aligns with what it is. But we would make one recommendation on 605.7. Kim, I gave this to you and I forgot. We have the third paragraph crossed out in red. Actually, the only word we want to eliminate from that paragraph is in the last line. It's responsible for outsiders. We'd recommend we change outsiders to individuals, but we want to actually leave that paragraph in the policy. So apologies for that. So leave that paragraph in. The only change is outsiders becomes individuals. That's what we talked about.
Yep.
Okay.
Would that be also in the third line of that paragraph, outsiders can't copy anything, or would that be individuals also?
Sorry.
Yeah, you probably moved past that already, sorry.
Can you just ask me again?
Sure, so you said in the last line, outsiders should be individuals. I'm wondering if the beginning of the third line should also be individuals, or if there's outsiders there.
Yes, yes, so we'll change that. So, thank you, I didn't see that do the crossed out words. So, we'll move outsiders to individuals in that paragraph. And on to 605.8R1, AI in the educational environment. In that second bullet where we talked about privacy, the word where in green should actually be unless. It probably doesn't make sense on first reading, right? Because we're saying, it just is worded wrong. Because what is set up with these contracts and what is allowed under state law is that when you have a system like this, it can be designated as a school under the school official exemption, which means we do not have to get prior written permission from parents to share information protected by FERPA. The way this reads is it says we will require prior written consent when they do have that designation. It's just that word was messed up when it was put in here. So what it should read is written consent unless the third-party vendor with access to PPI qualifies under the school official exemption. So we will ask for that unless they have that designation. We work with vendors and contractors. They have to meet certain regulations, and if they meet those, then we're allowed as a part of our software to provide them that so that they don't have to get that permission. So we want to go forward with these recommendations, except just the word where should be changed to unless. Okay. And then last one. Yep.
Doesn't there be an article or something after established in the next line? It reads it now, as I understand, school official exemption established for in the school.
Yep.
Oh.
You're right, that's missing something there, Charlie.
Okay.
Good catch.
I'm sorry.
It's a good catch, you're right, it's missing.
Do I need
Yeah.
comma police for task?
I should have caught that.
Established by FERPA.
Sean gets
By
so
FERPA,
disappointed in
in
me.
FERPA, under FERPA,
Yeah.
it could be in by or under. I think any, like Charles said, I've seen an article there.
Preposition.
Yeah, preposition, there you go. Yeah.
Let's not turn this into Schoolhouse Rock here.
I like the fancy put established. I think Ken, you could just leave I mean, technically, it could be exemption listed in FERPA, but we could just go established under FERPA.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie.
Sure.
Add that. Didn't see And then the last one that I had, and of course, we're happy to discuss any that you'd like to, or I can talk about more, was 606.1, which is our class size groupings. And, this goes to our RAM, and we actually had this conversation last year, as Nick showed, I think, at our last board meeting in the class size report. The last couple of years, we've only used the 3 levels of RAM. And I think when we had this conversation around the 600s last year, even though we knew we weren't using it, we decided to keep it in the 5 levels. So this was not an attempt to do class size or to change that. It was just simply matching the way we've operationalized the RAM over the last couple of years. And so if the board would like us to keep it at the 5 levels, just to have those, we can do that, but really it was just to more align with our practices, so that if people were looking at what we showed in RAM and then looked at what we showed in board policy, they would see the same thing. But we apologize. We know that you got some emails about what this impact was, and it really is just to align with our current practice. But it does not really impact us one way or the other if we were to keep it as it's currently written as well.
The class splits in this, are we under, for RAM 1 currently this year, it's 24, 26, 30? Is that what RAM 1 is this year, or what is it? And so those 24, 28, 32, and 26, 28, 32 are the sizes that we're using
Correct.
right now?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I shared in the last enrollment report previously. So even if we were to move them down to 3, 4, and 5, there would be some subtle adjustments from some previous times, but this has been in place for the last, I think it was 3 years ago when we made the adjustment to the 3 levels.
Yeah, I just need to wrap my head around this a little bit better. Nick, no,
you're fine.
But so, where we're, RAM 1 this year is a split of 24 at kindergarten, correct? And it's not like, okay. And then, right now, if I'm in a RAM 1 school, the split in first and second grade is when I go over 26 students,
Yep.
and then 30, correct? Thank you.
Those are the notes I had. I would take any questions or other pieces that folks would like to talk about or look at.
And that's just so I can make sure to throw it in, that the RAM in here doesn't reflect the discussion of changes, potential changes to how we do elementary in the budget reduction earlier tonight, or later tonight.
Correct. The point I'll clarify later tonight is really the reductions you see in that budget reduction document. I mean, it's really due to lower student enrollment. The fact we stay in our existing RAM approach that this policy reflects. It's really because we're serving less students that we can suggest that 301 down to 291 number that's in there. So we wouldn't be changing the bands or anything along
Okay.
those lines, so.
Thank you, Superintendent Degner. I just want to make sure I have that right in my notes. Questions from the board, from the 3 members of the panel? Anybody else that has decided to join us? No questions, so that takes us to, I believe, next policy and governance meeting. So we'll be moving on to the 700 series.
Correct.
I also submitted a potential changes, the 302.4, to the superintendent last week to look at. So,
And we can add that
Yeah,
to
thank
the
you.
next P&G.
Are we starting at 5:30?
I think it would depend on how big the 700 series is.
It's not huge. I would think that we could start at 5. Yeah,
5:30.
I think we could
We
start
can plan at 5:30 for now, and then if we
Yeah.
need to change it, we'll let you know.
So do I have a motion from,
Move to adjourn. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All not in favor?